you consider yourself a writer or a storyteller?
Oh, I'm a writer. I'm a writer. Language is what really matters to me more than anything else.
So the how and the way the characters describe.
Yeah. The aboutness, as Nabokov talks about novels. No, that doesn't interest me nearly as much as the way language works. I'm much more of a writer than a storyteller.
Yeah. And language seems to, as always when in affairs of the heart, people have terrible times communicating how they feel about one another.
Terrible, terrible. It's the hardest thing in the world is to say, I love you. Sincerely, I mean. I think we say it in a very flip way, but to say it and mean it, that's a hard phrase to get out of our mouths.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the main story, I guess, is the love between these two people, or at least halfway through the book it is. The first half of the book is them sort of doing the emptying out, but there are also various other love sort of connections that go through it. How you can, in some ways, love somebody that you're not married to anymore.
Yes. Yeah, I think love comes in all sorts and sizes, as you surely know. And I was interested in all those. And one of the things I was interested in doing in writing, a love story, a contemporary love story, was to get away from this idea that the couple is isolated in the world. I mean, this just doesn't happen. This happens in the films, where you see romantic couples sitting at tables for two, all alone. Or frolicking in snowbanks and so on. This isn't the way the world goes at all. Lovers are surrounded by family, by friends, by all kinds of connections. And I wanted to write that kind of a love story.
Now, you've got two characters, so we said take a while to get together. Faye, who, she has an obsession with mermaids. Can you explain a bit about that?
Yeah, she's a folklorist, and she's pursuing a kind of feminist vision of, what are mermaids, and what are they for, and what do they stand for in our iconography. And that's one of my great interests. So I've been interested in mermaids for years, and thinking about them, and evolving theories about them, and so I wanted to write a book about a woman who was writing a book about mermaids.
Is love like a mermaid?
I think it is in a way. I mean, love is a paradoxical force, and mermaids are paradoxical too, because they are actually, when you think about the stories of mermaids that you've heard all your life, mermaids lure sailors to their death. At the same time, they console the drowned. So we look at them in two different ways. They're either evil, vicious temptresses, or they're alluring lovers. But in any case, it's very difficult to pin them down, just exactly what they are. And I think that this is why people have such a hard time talking about love. It's a force that we cannot really analyze. We can't finally break it down into all its components. We don't understand it, but I think it's the best thing that happens to us in our lives.
These people I shouldn't give this away, but fall in love at first sight. Are you a believer in that?
This is the way I look at it. We have this myth in our culture about love at first sight. We have this expression. It's a myth. And I think that at the bottom of every myth, there is a level of reality. I don't think everyone falls in love at first sight, but I think it happens. I can't explain it. It's one of those things about love that cannot be explained. But I think it happens that people can look at each other, exchange a few words, and know.
Then I'm going to jump on that metaphor. Are there mermaids? At the bottom of every myth, there's some truth.
Yes, there is. And if you want to go far enough, this is the ultimate theory. Okay, do you want to hear the ultimate theory?
Let's hear it. Let's go for it.
Okay. We all came from the sea. This is where life came from. And if you wanted to really track the racial memory, we might go back right that far. And if you look at old biblical paintings, say of Noah and his wife on the ark, the earliest expressions of them were as fish people, with fish tails. So this myth is very old. It goes right back to the beginning of literature, right to the beginning of civilization. So I think it's with us. It's part of our sense of where we came from.
Are you still in love with this book?
Am I in love with the book? It's an interesting question. I'm in love, I suppose. I'm more in love with my new lover, which is the book I'm writing now. This always happens, of course, to writers. But what I love about this book is what people are telling me, that it makes them feel buoyant to read it. And some people tell me it makes them shed a few tears, which is fine. I hope it's a book that does touch on real experience, because this is why I read books. I read it so I know that my experiences have relevance, and you want people to read it and say, "Aha, I felt like that too."
So, what is the new project?
It's a novel that covers a longer span of time than I've ever covered before. It's a story of a woman's life. That is the story. That's the storyline. When she's born in 1905, she dies in 1995. And it's really about what it means, what it has meant to be a woman in this century. So it's a rather serious book. It's a little darker book. But I'm loving working on it, because I think it's something worthwhile to write about, and it seems to be going well. So it's a book that I'm putting myself into with a lot of enthusiasm.
If love was the underlying theme to this one, what's the underlying theme to this woman's life and to this book?
Making your life mean something.
Okay, great. Well, a lot of luck with The Republic of Love. I loved it. It was a wonderful, wonderful read and a lot of fun. And yes, I was one of those people who was sobbing just a little bit, well, more than just a little bit actually, at the end of the book.
I'm very glad to hear it. Thank you.
The book is The Republic of Love. I've been speaking with its author, Carol Shields. The Republic of Love is published by Random House.